You won't believe what happened when Jasmine Crockett confronted the fallout from MTG's sudden resignation. Stay tuned as we uncover the bombshell details, hidden alliances, and shocking moves that left the political world stunned. The hearing room was supposed to be tense, noisy, politically charged, but routine. That's why everyone froze when Representative Jasmine Crockett leaned forward, placed a single folder on the desk, and said in a calm, steady voice, "Before we proceed, there's something the American people deserve to know about Representative Marjorie Taylor." Greene's sudden resignation. Instant silence. Even the cameras stopped moving. Greene wasn't in the room. She had slipped out of Washington 2 nights earlier. Her resignation letter, only 2 sentences long, had shocked everyone. No explanation. No statement. No interviews. Just gone, and until this moment, nobody had an answer. Crockett opened the folder. Every journalist in the room leaned forward at the same time. Members of the committee exchanged glances uneasy, confused, some even annoyed. But Crockett didn't wait for approval. She knew what she was holding, and she knew this was the only way to expose it. She lifted the first page. "This," she said, "is the real reason Greene resigned?" Murmurs exploded across the room. Across the bench, Representative Cole tried to interrupt. "Ms. Crockett, that document is not on the agenda," but she didn't stop. Her voice cut through his like steel. "That's because it wasn't supposed to be. It was never meant to see daylight." The energy shifted instantly. The entire room committee, members, staffers, reporters, even the public gallery went silent again. People sensed she was about to drop something massive, something nobody expected, especially not during a chamber session that had started like every other. Political confrontation, Crockett continued. 3 weeks ago, Greene contacted an external consultant off the record. No House email. No official channels. Completely private. Except, she tapped the document lightly. She left a trail. Someone in the gallery gasped. A journalist whispered, "Is this legitimate?" Another muttered, "What trail?" Crockett answered without being asked, "Trail of communication that links her sudden resignation to an internal deal she didn't want discovered." Now the room erupted. Whispers. Shifting chairs, reporters typing so fast their keyboards clicked like rainfall. Representative Maddox slammed his pen down. "This is inappropriate." "Point of order," Crockett cut him off, not angrily, but firmly. "You can file every point of order you want. The truth comes first." Her tone made even her opponents go quiet. She held up the second page. "This is a signed acknowledgement by Greene herself, acknowledging that she had been informed of a potential ethics violation that implicated her directly." Cameras zoomed so close they could almost touch the document. Lawmakers shifted nervously, half of them trying to distance themselves from the shockwave, half of them desperate to see what came next. Then Crockett added something nobody expected, and this acknowledgement came before she made her last public speech, before she accused half this committee of corruption, and before she disappeared. Now the room wasn't just tense, it was electrified. Even her colleagues' people used to drama, shouting, political theater looked rattled. They had seen confrontations before, but nothing like this. Not something with proof. Not something with signatures. Not something that hinted at a deal so explosive it pushed one of the loudest members of Congress into an abrupt, unexplained resignation. Crockett placed the pages down and folded her hands. "There is more," she said quietly. "Much more." The room froze. No one blinked. No one breathed. For the first time since her resignation, MTG's name didn't just hang in the air like another headline. It felt like the opening crack of something bigger, heavier, and dangerous. Crockett continued, her voice steady. Greene didn't resign because she wanted to. She resigned because she was cornered. by something and someone she never expected. The last words hit the room like a hammer. Reporters immediately looked at one another. Someone. Who? Committee members leaned forward, realizing this wasn't just about an ethics violation anymore. This was about a person, a threat, a hidden force behind the abrupt collapse of one of the most controversial political figures in the country. But Crockett didn't reveal the name. Not yet. Instead, she closed the folder slowly, deliberately, like sealing a secret that she planned to crack open piece by piece. And then she said, "I will continue in the next session." The entire room erupted at once, but she didn't say another word. She stood, gathered the folder, and walked out with the calm of someone who knew that what she held wasn't just information. It was a bombshell waiting to explode. The energy in the chamber shifted palpably as Jasmine Crockett leaned forward. Her eyes locked on the colleagues, trying to spin narratives in their favor. Every word she had prepared seemed to resonate even stronger, as though the room itself recognized the gravity of the revelations she was about to make. She began methodically, recounting timelines, citing verified documents, and connecting seemingly isolated events into a clear, undeniable sequence. Her approach was meticulous, almost surgical, dismantling the carefully constructed defenses that had been erected around MTG's sudden departure, while some members whispered among themselves, trying to reinterpret or soften the impact of Crockett's points. The veteran congresswoman remained unfazed. Her voice was calm yet commanding, each sentence carrying weight, each pause inviting the room to reflect on the reality she was exposing. Even those who disagreed found themselves involuntarily nodding, unable to escape the logic she presented. What made the moment viral-worthy wasn't just the content of her speech, but the way she executed it. Crockett's timing was precise. She allowed key statements to linger just long enough for cameras to capture every reaction, every twitch of disbelief on her colleagues' faces. As the broadcast reached millions online, social media erupted with clips highlighting the moments where Crockett's evidence left MTG's allies scrambling. Analysts began dissecting each segment, comparing it with public records. And the consensus was clear: Crockett had turned what was supposed to be a routine session into a masterclass in political accountability. Questions arose immediately following her statements. One representative attempted a counterpoint, hoping to redirect attention or dilute the impact, but Crockett was ready. With a firm yet respectful tone, she responded, referencing statements from multiple sources and connecting dots in ways no one had anticipated. Her ability to anticipate rebuttals and counter them with documented evidence made her presence not just commanding, but strategically unassailable. The crowd in the chamber shifted, some leaning in, some sitting rigid, as Crockett continued. Every sentence seemed calibrated to maximize clarity and impact. By the time she reached the portion detailing the repercussions of MTG's sudden exit, both politically and procedurally, she had already created a ripple effect. Political analysts on live feeds remarked on her composure and authority, noting how her delivery magnified the significance of her findings. Social media users echoed the sentiment, with phrases like "shut down the narrative" and "schooling the House" trending within minutes. Crockett didn't allow the momentum to falter. She navigated sensitive topics, internal disagreements, missed obligations, and public statements that contradicted previous claims with surgical precision. Each revelation was framed to emphasize accountability without descending into personal attacks, which made her stance even more compelling. While many had expected theatrics, what unfolded was a display of focused strategy: evidence first, narrative second, leaving no room for misinterpretation. As the hearing progressed, journalists scrambled to capture the unfolding story. Clips of Crockett's delivery circulated immediately, amplified by sharp commentary that praised her methodical disassembly of MTG's rationale. Viewers from across the nation engaged in debates, dissecting the implications for upcoming political maneuvers and the broader narrative surrounding party leadership. For Crockett, the significance wasn't in viral clips or trending hashtags, it was in holding power to account with clarity, consistency, and precision. Midway through the exchange, Crockett shifted slightly, addressing procedural oversights that had allowed MTG's resignation to catch both colleagues and the public off guard. Her tone softened just enough to signal measured judgment, yet firm enough to remind everyone that negligence, miscommunication, or willful omission had consequences. By juxtaposing legal obligations with political strategy, she effectively highlighted how sudden decisions at high levels reverberate far beyond individual careers. The atmosphere reached a crescendo when Crockett tied these revelations to broader systemic issues, demonstrating patterns that extended beyond a single resignation. Her ability to connect the dots between governance, accountability, and public interest cemented the significance of her testimony. Even seasoned lawmakers who had initially been skeptical were visibly affected by the clarity of her argumentation. By the conclusion of this part of the session, the room had transformed. Conversations that were once fragmented and defensive now bore the weight of Crockett's logic. Social media exploded further, with hashtags such as hashtag Crockett Clarity, hashtag Political Accountability, and hashtag MTG Resignation trending globally. Analysts pointed out that moments like this defined the trajectory of political careers, shaping public perception and influencing legislative strategy for months to come. Crockett's.com. Evidence-driven approach had not only clarified the events surrounding MTG's departure, but also reinforced a larger lesson: preparation, clarity, and unflinching focus can turn even the most volatile political situations into moments of undeniable authority. As the session adjourned, one could sense the shift in momentum. This was more than a revelation. It was a masterclass in commanding a narrative and ensuring accountability. At every level, the intensity in the room only escalated as Crockett shifted her focus from the immediate resignation to the underlying patterns of influence that had plagued MTG's political maneuvering. Every word she spoke was deliberate, carefully crafted to connect dots that many had overlooked. She began by framing the resignation not as an isolated event, but as a symptom of a broader systemic issue: how political power, unchecked by accountability, can unravel even the most carefully constructed narratives. Viewers watching from home could almost feel the tension crackle through the screen as Crockett's voice carried a blend of measured, calm, and undeniable authority. She pivoted seamlessly to the key documents that had recently come to light: emails, internal memos, and transcripts that painted a picture of strategic misdirection within MTG's team. With each revelation, Crockett didn't just present facts. She layered context, drawing clear connections between political decisions and their tangible consequences. For example, she highlighted a series of meetings that indicated the resignation was precipitated not just by public scrutiny, but by internal dissent and strategic disagreements. The way she mapped cause and effect left observers stunned, particularly in how she linked public-facing claims to behind-the-scenes maneuvers. What set this segment apart from typical political commentary was Crockett's mastery of timing. Each revelation was carefully sequenced, building toward an undeniable crescendo that made the room hang on her every word. She contrasted MTG's narrative of voluntary departure with corroborated evidence showing mounting pressure from multiple fronts: party leadership, constituents, and even media scrutiny. By highlighting this multifaceted pressure, Crockett reframed the story. The resignation was less about choice and more about political inevitability. Analysts watching live were quick to note how her analysis transformed a simple news event into a lesson in political strategy and consequence management. Crockett's ability to balance facts with narrative artistry became even more apparent as she addressed the personal toll of such political upheaval. Without being accusatory, she examined the human side of MTG's sudden decision. She acknowledged the challenges faced by any public figure under intense scrutiny. Yet she juxtaposed this with the responsibility elected officials bear to their constituents. This nuanced approach elevated the discussion, moving beyond partisan point scoring to engage viewers with a more sophisticated understanding of leadership, accountability, and political ethics. As the live stream continued, Crockett skillfully anticipated potential counter-arguments. She addressed hypothetical defenses that MTG's team might offer, preemptively dismantling them with evidence-backed reasoning. Whether discussing timing discrepancies in statements or inconsistencies in strategic plans, Crockett maintained a tone of measured authority that left opponents visibly unsettled. Social media quickly caught on, with clips of her dismantling weak counterpoints circulating widely, reinforcing her reputation as both a meticulous investigator and an eloquent communicator. One of the most compelling moments came when Crockett introduced a series of direct quotes from MTG and her advisors. These statements, when juxtaposed against the newly uncovered documents, exposed discrepancies that had previously gone unnoticed. The impact was immediate. Commentators noted that Crockett's use of primary sources not only strengthened her argument, but also forced a reassessment of previously accepted narratives. For viewers, it was a masterclass in how rigorous documentation can transform political storytelling. Turning hearsay into undeniable insight, Crockett didn't just stop at exposing failures. She contextualized them within broader implications for political accountability. She explained how unchecked power can ripple through party dynamics, influencing decision-making in ways the public rarely sees. By connecting the resignation to wider patterns of governance, she offered a perspective that was as strategic as it was analytical. Viewers were treated not just to a dissection of a single event, but to a comprehensive guide on the interplay between leadership decisions, public perception, and institutional pressures. Towards the end of this segment, Crockett transitioned to the forward-looking implications. She discussed how MTG's departure might affect upcoming legislative agendas, electoral strategies, and party cohesion. Every statement was grounded in historical precedent and comparative political analysis, making her insights feel both immediate and deeply informed. Observers commented that this segment exemplified what makes Crockett's political commentary resonate. She doesn't just report events, she interprets, anticipates, and educates as the camera panned over the reactions of colleagues and analysts. It became clear that Crockett's combination of clarity, precision, and strategic framing had a profound effect. Even seasoned political commentators acknowledged that the level of insight and composure she displayed in breaking down MTG's resignation set a new benchmark for live political analysis. The discussion wasn't just about one figure stepping down. It was about understanding the mechanisms of power, influence, and accountability in the modern political arena. Crockett's ability to weave all these elements together into a coherent, compelling narrative ensured that viewers walked away not only informed but also engaged, eager to follow the next developments closely. As the session progressed, Crockett shifted her focus to the ripple effects of MTG's resignation across party lines and public perception. She highlighted how the departure had triggered an immediate recalibration among party strategists, both locally and nationally. By connecting MTG's exit to broader electoral trends, Crockett illustrated how a single political move can reverberate far beyond its initial context. The audience could sense her mastery of timing and emphasis, as she presented each detail not as isolated data, but as part of an interwoven political tapestry that demanded attention and critical thinking. She then examined how media coverage had amplified certain narratives while downplaying others, demonstrating the power of framing and shaping public opinion. Crockett's critique wasn't merely observational. It was analytical. She pointed out patterns in how different outlets reported the resignation, highlighting discrepancies and biases. By doing so, she educated viewers on how to read political reporting critically, emphasizing the importance of questioning sources and seeking corroboration. Her ability to blend investigative insight with clear, accessible explanation made even complex political maneuvers understandable to a wide audience. Crockett didn't shy away from addressing the potential implications for leadership credibility. She discussed how MTG's sudden departure exposed vulnerabilities in party cohesion and leadership strategy, forcing political figures to reconsider their messaging and alignment. Using historical parallels and recent case studies, Crockett painted a picture of how such disruptions can influence upcoming campaigns and legislative priorities. Her commentary transformed what could have been a fleeting news story into a lesson on strategic foresight and political resilience. Throughout this segment, she seamlessly integrated public reactions and real-time social media commentary to demonstrate the immediate cultural impact of MTG's resignation. Viewers saw how public perception, amplified by viral clips, could pressure political figures to act or reconsider decisions. Crockett used these examples to reinforce her broader thesis that political outcomes are as much shaped by perception and communication as by formal processes. Her approach bridged the gap between political insiders and everyday citizens, making complex dynamics tangible and engaging. One of the most compelling sections of her analysis was her exploration of internal party dynamics. Crockett dissected the networks of influence, loyalty, and dissent that had contributed to MTG's decision. By mapping alliances and points of tension, she offered viewers a rare glimpse into the internal mechanics of political power. Her insights were precise and deeply informed, giving even seasoned analysts new perspectives. The room's atmosphere, tense yet attentive, reflected the weight of her words and the clarity of her reasoning. As she delved into the broader lessons from MTG's resignation, Crockett emphasized the importance of accountability and transparency in leadership. She argued that public officials must recognize the interconnectedness of their actions, the media environment, and constituent expectations. By contextualizing a high-profile resignation within this larger framework, Crockett transformed the discussion from a singular scandal into a broader discourse on governance and responsibility. Her analysis resonated not only as commentary, but as an educational narrative, illustrating principles that apply to political systems everywhere. Crockett's storytelling reached its zenith when she predicted potential strategic moves in the wake of the resignation. She analyzed possible successors, shifts in policy priorities, and the recalibration of alliances, illustrating the cascading effects of a single pivotal moment. Each prediction was grounded in evidence, historical precedent, and behavioral analysis of key political figures. Viewers were left with a comprehensive understanding of not just what had happened, but what might unfold in the near future, a testament to Crockett's ability to turn immediate events into actionable insight. By the final minutes, the full weight of her analysis had sunk in. Crockett didn't merely report MTG's resignation. She decoded its meaning, implications, and consequences with the precision of a strategist and the clarity of a teacher. Her ability to convey complex political shifts with both authority and accessibility solidified her reputation as one of the most compelling voices in contemporary political commentary. Analysts and viewers alike were captivated. Recognizing that the story extended far beyond a single resignation, it was a lesson in power, perception, and the consequences of political decision-making. As cameras pulled back and the segment concluded, viewers were left with a heightened understanding of how political narratives evolve and how influential figures like Jasmine Crockett shape those narratives. Every revelation, observation, and insight had been interwoven into a seamless, compelling story that resonated with immediacy and depth. From uncovering hidden documents to connecting long-term implications, Crockett's performance transformed the resignation into a case study in strategic political analysis. For those following the evolving political landscape, this episode wasn't just news, it was a masterclass in understanding the forces that drive modern governance.